I'm one of 6 sculptors that has been shortlisted to create a maquette, which is a small model for a new statue of Emmeline Pankhurst to be in the square outside the town hall in Manchester. As you can see, I've surrounded myself with pictures of Emmeline. She maintains the same steely determination, whatever age you see her, and that's the look that I wanted to capture. I've chosen to sculpt Emmeline Pankhurst in this very heroic stance. She's standing contrapposto, which is a very classical position, a bit like Michelangelo's David, and I want people to be able to see it from a really long way away and just see this powerful woman silhouette. I've chosen a model who's a dancer. I wanted to find someone that was able to take on the character of Emmeline Pankhurst, her strength but also her femininity. When I see her next to Emmeline Pankhurst, it's exactly the same proportion. Her face is weirdly almost quite similar as well. She could almost be Emmeline Pankhurst. You always start with an armature, and then you start adding the clay, and I actually always sculpt the person, the figure underneath, because it's really important for your figure to really feel rooted to the ground and feel like she's really standing there, and it will read so much better once the clothes are on. It's very rough, and I'm just blocking out the main bone lengths and the anatomy and just the basic shapes. And I've not sculpted her as if she was naked, I've sculpted her as if she's wearing a corset, so she's got this kind of very pulled in shape, which also helps her stance of looking very held in and heroic. As you can see, she's wearing these very Edwardian, slightly sort of steampunky boots. The next stage is to add her clothes underneath her cape, so it's going to be her high-necked frilly shirt and long skirt. I really wanted to get across that she dressed like a power dresser, that everything she wore made her small frame bigger and more powerful. So I found this lovely Edwardian style cape, big puffy sleeves, it's long, it's pulling on the ground, it's making her look really powerful. The hat that I made was very useful just to get the feeling of the whole figure, but it wasn't really working. I looked at my reference pictures and just decided to pick a hat that she actually wore. She's at a demonstration, being arrested, right in the throng of everything that's going on, but she's still looking fabulous in this big, massive feathered hat. And I just loved the look on this policeman's face. She's trying to restrain him and just getting like a face full of feather. So I've sculpted Emmeline in a contrapposto, very heroic position, a bit like Michelangelo's David, but instead of a slingshot in her hand, she's holding one of these, a toffee hammer, which is what the Suffragettes used in their window smashing campaigns. Obviously, I'm not advocating people go around smashing windows anymore, because in the West we are beyond that stage, but there are still so many glass ceilings that we have to smash through, and I think that the toffee hammer is a great symbol. I've now started adding the toffee hammers onto the statue, starting with the hero one, and then they're flowing down into this lovely Art Nouveau shaped pool made of her cape. Visitors can come along and actually stand on the toffee hammers, so they're kind of symbolically standing on the shoulders of giants, because each of these toffee hammers represents one of these women that fought for our rights. My idea is that people can write in, tell us their stories about suffragettes in their family, stories that people haven't heard of, and have their names actually engraved. So where it says for toffee, have for Mary, for Josephine, and represent those women that don't usually get their stories told. I do consider Emmeline Pankhurst to be a bit of a superhero, because even though she didn't have actual superpowers like X-ray vision or something, she did have the vision to see through barriers and to break through them. So I've just been doing my final finishing touches, which involved really trying to get a bit of a likeness, even though it's very small. I think I've just tried to capture her essence. And I just worked up the shirt, the frilly shirt, with some detail, because she tended to go in for these really kind of fussy Edwardian frilly shirts. And then I've added this little brooch that she's wearing in one of the famous pictures of her. Just worked the surface to a stage where you can still see the marks of the tool, because that will read really nicely in the bronze. I've finished sculpting Emmeline Pankhurst now, and she's all ready for me to put her in the car and take her off to the foundry to be made into wax, and then from the wax they then make that into bronze. So yeah, I'm happy with how she's looking and I'm ready to put her in the car.